Well, good afternoon and welcome to Agri-Food Conversations brought to you by iSelect Fund, the Van Trump Report, the Yield Lab Institute, and Family Farms Group. My name is David Yoakum. I'm an associate here on the iSelect Fund Ventures team, and I'm excited to welcome you to our discussion today. Agri-Food Conversations is all about driving innovation in food and agriculture. Each month, we highlight a specific theme, including emerging topics such as soil health, plant genetics, vertical farming, and aquaculture, to name a few. And as such, this month's theme is in fact aquaculture. And on today's call, we're joined by Tony Chen, CEO of Manolin. Manolin helps fish health teams use data insights to make better decisions. Track, measure, and predict outcomes quickly and easily, all in one platform. With the company's software, aquaculture operators can organize their production information in a central location, access and track their metrics for benchmarking purposes, and leverage their own data to predict disease outbreaks, mortality risks, and other anomalies. Each of you knows that companies are more likely to succeed with the right network of customers, talent, investors, and advisors. We've invited you to this call because you're some of the smartest, most talented people in Manolin's market. You are potential customers for Manolin's products and services. You have built or sold a company similar to Manolin's, or you are a sophisticated business person or agricultural professional who understands the market and the challenges and opportunities Manolin may face. Before we get started, we have a quick poll question to get a better idea of who we have on the call today. Please take a few seconds to answer. And while we're doing that, and Tony, if you could flip to the disclaimer slide, we are not soliciting investment. This presentation is to provide information to help Manolin find customers, mentors, and other strategic relationships that can help them grow their business. You're all on mute. You can use the chat window to ask a question at any time. This presentation is being recorded and will be available for replay. And so without further delay, I am pleased to introduce Tony Chen, CEO of Manolin. Tony, please feel free to take it away.
Thanks so much. Yeah, excited to present today and happy to have everybody here who's listening. So yes, my name is Tony Chen and I'm the CEO of Manolin, and our mission is to make aquaculture data easy. What I really would love for everyone to get out of this meeting today, the purpose is really for me to share my story and the mission that we're going after. I'll give you kind of a recap in our journey so far in the industry, and I'd love for everybody to walk out of this meeting, go back to their daily lives, but have an understanding of why I think aquaculture is the most exciting area within food right now. And to kick it off, I'll start off with just our team. So this is the team behind it. As I mentioned, my name is Tony. My background is in computer science and with a degree from MIT. But together with the rest of my team, we're spread out between two locations, Bergen, Norway, and Denver, Colorado. Our background is largely computer science, data analytics, and a little bit of agriculture as well as aquaculture. But what we're really doing is bringing insights to this industry. And our locations, as I mentioned, we're in Bergen as well as in Denver. And people often ask, how did we end up as an aquaculture company that focuses on ocean farms, but we're based in Colorado? But the case really is we have two locations and a lot of our operations happen out of Bergen, Norway. And Bergen, Norway is really the center of aquaculture. Bergen specifically is even more important to that space. And our focus is on the salmon market within Norway, and for a couple of different reasons. Largely because Norway is the global leader when it comes to seafood. It's the country's second largest export. They produce roughly 40% of the entire world's global supply of salmon. And it's been a very profitable business over the last 30 to 40 years. One of the most interesting facts I've heard is recently Forbes published, the youngest billionaires in the world, top 10 list. If you look at that particular list, 3 of them are actually heirs to salmon investors and come out of the salmon business. So for that result, Norway is a highly advanced farming operations. A lot of data gets generated. It's a big business and a huge market. And we've been there for the last 3 years. And more specifically, our office has been based in Bergen, Norway. What I consider a small city is actually the second largest city in all of Norway. But you really could consider it, the Silicon Valley of aquaculture. In this small little area, you find all the global heads of the industry. It's the place where research, industry, services are really all based, and you couldn't go anywhere without talking about fish. I have spent a large portion of my time there over the last few years, and it really is the hub of where all this innovation occurs. So for us, we have our engineer and product team here in Denver, but we run most of our operations and headquarters based out of Bergen. Over the last 3 years, what we've learned is how important it is to really be a part of the industry. Like I mentioned, my background's in computer science. I actually previously worked in government consulting, but over these last 3 years, we've spent a lot of time really understanding what is core to the industry. With my co-founder, John, and I, we've spent a lot of times traveling up and down the coast and grading ourselves within the industry. What I didn't fail to mention so far is, when we got into aquaculture, our journey actually started with oyster farmers. We discovered, the world of aquaculture through oyster farmers in the Chesapeake Bay. And through that experience, we really got to know the importance of understanding who the farmers were, the pains and touch points, and really getting to know them personally. And we've taken that approach to Norway. So I must admit, it hasn't been I've enjoyed traveling, I've enjoyed seeing the entire countryside, but core to our belief is making sure that we are ingrained in the industry and understand what's going on. Now, as far as our customers and how we benefit them, this is an example of the daily life of one of our customers. Her name is Anakin. She's a 29-year-old fish veterinarian. And I, for one, did not know veterinarians were a position, fish veterinarians particular, until going to Norway. But her day involves a lot of different tasks. And central to these is collecting a ton of data. They spend a lot of time moving from farm to farm, understanding how to collect inventory, sensor data, writing reports. At the end of the day, there's just a lot of systems that they have to interact with to manage fish health. So what we recognized was really, in order to provide additional insights, save farmers time, make sure they can get back out to the field, an important aspect was being able to put all this information into the same place. Because at the end of the day, fish health is the most important asset to any farm. The more healthy fish you have, the healthier the business looks. So what we do in particular is we offer a holistic solution that brings in a lot of these different data sources to really enable farmers to track outcomes, measure decisions that they are making, and then have a forecast and predictions for future issues. We do that by bringing in various data sets. As I've mentioned, there's a lot of data that's being generated from the farm, but there's also a lot of data out there floating in the industry, whether it's in the public space, if you think about currents, boat data, weather data. We bring all that into one particular place so farmers don't have to go around to different places to get this information. As I've mentioned, we've been in Norway for the last 3 years, and our progress so far, we work with a whole host of various companies. Many of them, to the American audience, you guys won't recognize the company names, but you will probably recognize where their salmon goes. Many of our suppliers are the suppliers into Whole Foods, Costco, Sam's Club, all of the places where you buy salmon today, and much of it comes out of Norway. And as of right now, this roughly translates to 7% of, we manage 7% of the production coming out of Norway. We have data across roughly $200 million worth of salmon at any given point in time. And while this is great, we've saved farmers a lot of time. An additional aspect of what we've accomplished and what we've really achieved is really breaking down walls to get access towards data. One of the things that we noticed, particularly for an industry like salmon that has a lot of data being generated, they've been located in silos, whether it's on the farm, within research, or within the government. There's been a lot of silos into where this data sits and how it gets accessed. So what we've really achieved in the last few years, one is saving farmers time and giving them new insights, but we've done that by finding ways of breaking down barriers into these data silos, whether it's integrations with companies, whether it's researching and finding nuances, or even understanding new data sources that are available. What we've really done is finding a way to put this all together. And I think the example that highlights this the best is how we've been working on disease forecasting. So like most agricultural issues, disease and health is a major concern. It drives business. It's something that everybody pays attention to. But unique to aquaculture is how many of these issues are much more uncontrollable. When you're in the water, diseases spread, parasites spread. There's really no stopping an outbreak. And fish themselves don't have extremely strong immune systems. So when they do get sick, it's very hard to come back from. And within salmon, two of the biggest issues are parasites such as sea lice. and viruses such as pancreatic disease. So in order to really help farmers understand what's going on, you need predictive models. These parasites have extremely short life cycles. Farmers have tried various techniques to combat them, but what the parasite and sea lice have shown is they've been able to evolve and find ways around it over time. So from our point of view, it's really important to figure out how to predict these issues ahead of time. So we've developed models using a wide range of infection vectors. So things like weather, boat traffic, currents, lab tests, really a combination of public and private data sets to help farmers understand when these issues are coming. For a model like PD, we're happy to be at a point that we've succeeded and passed all other metrics when it comes to the research community. Our models have performed better over the last year and a half. But this is really the work that we're doing from an advanced data science point of view. And the value of all this, I mean, it's great to kind of see forecasting and data science be used, but the analogy that we've made is how the work that we're doing is really similar to bringing Moneyball to aquaculture. For those that aren't aware, Moneyball is a concept around advanced analytics that really changed the game of baseball. It started with the Oakland A's, but you've seen it really permeate to all other sports around the world. And a lot of it's driven by how advanced analytics can help measure performance better. You've seen it in basketball, you've seen it in golf, you've seen it in football. What they've really accomplished is how new data sets can really change and measure performance. For us, we see it as the same thing. We're trying to figure out how to measure performance better for farms so they can make better decisions, figure out which areas to improve. But when it comes to something like aquaculture, we think the benefits of doing this are much larger. It's more than just, can I play a better game and win a little bit easier, find better athletes, but the outcomes of de-risking investments, the outcomes of being able to measure performance are much more for aquaculture. Because when you look at kind of the global scale, again, we're starting with Norway, we're starting with salmon, but if you kind of zoom out just a tad bit and look across the global seafood scene, aquaculture is the fastest growing food system. About 1 in 7 people currently depend on seafood as their primary data source. The FAO recently reported that 90% of all fish stocks have been fully exploited, overexploited, or completely depleted. And it's one of the largest traded commodities around the world. But even given this growth and given the size of the industry, right now farmers still deal with many issues such as crop insurance, getting business loans, figuring out ways to increase regulation to even allow aquaculture, such as here in the States. And our belief is using advanced analytics, Moneyball, we can figure out how to not only improve operations across farms, but help the entire industry grow, whether that's setting regulations, monitoring environmental sustainability issues, improving traceabilities. There's a lot of options and a lot of problems to be solved using data within this space. So we really think the opportunity is massive. I think Robert Jones, the global aquaculture lead at the Nature Conservancy, has really said it right. This is a sector that's not going to stop. It's, in my opinion, a runaway train. It's going to continue to grow, but we need it to grow in the right way, and we needed to get aquaculture right. So that's what we're doing, unlocking the data for ocean conservation. We are Manolin, and our goal is to help healthy farms for healthy seas.
Thanks so
Again,
much.
my name is Tony, and thanks again.
Yeah, thanks so much. Super interesting. And you're right, it is a super exciting space to be in right now. There's a lot of opportunity. So for anybody in the audience who's interested to ask Tony a question, the best way to do that is type that into the Q&A box. There's also a chat box, but it's just easier for me to manage if everybody just goes in the Q&A feature, and I can ask any questions as they arise. Tony will be doing the answering. But just to kick things off, Tony, the thing that's interesting about aquaculture is it's so different depending on where you are in the world and what type of fish, crop, crustacean you're working with. When you guys were setting out to solve some of the problems and build this kind of software platform, what was interesting or appealing to you about a place like Norway and the types of fish and technologies that they deploy in a place like that versus perhaps somewhere like Southeast Asia or somewhere like South America, working on shrimp or other types of fish and crops? What was the thinking there?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think we spent some time, understanding different markets. Again, we started with oyster farmers who had similar questions on why my crop was dying. Why do we lose half of these oysters? How can we improve that? We understood that kind of analytics was the key to all of it, but only certain markets really had enough data. Norway being one of it. I think the analogy again, I made it to Moneyball and kind of sports. But what's really changed for a lot of those industries is the type of data that was being collected. For basketball, it was the fact that you could see shot data kind of at a spatial level. You saw where players were shooting from. Similar with golf, you could see distances for shots. And once the industry started collecting that, you could really build these models and advanced analytics on top of it. And for us, Norway was the only place in aquaculture that currently has that. When oyster farmers asked us, I don't know why my crop is dying, we asked to see the data, and inventory was collected on a spreadsheet or a piece of paper. So it was really kind of ground zero of trying to just start to collect data before you can really analyze trends. Whereas if you look at Norway, it's actually the complete opposite. They've had inventory data for the last 20 years. There's cameras in all these pens, sensors in all these pens. You're seeing a lot more data being collected, and it was just at a scope that you couldn't compare with anywhere else. So that's why Norway was the right fit for us.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. A couple questions that have started to roll in here. The first is, what is your product and pricing model for the product?
Yeah, so we offer our product right now in an online dashboard and a platform, and farmers pay a subscription fee to join. It's a pretty simple SaaS model.
Got it. And then, are you anticipating applying any of your systems to onshore farming systems as well?
At some point, we definitely think so. Right now, our I guess ability and value really comes from coastal aquaculture systems. We bring in a lot of satellite data, current data, kind of data along the waterways, because that's where a lot of this community and infection spread really happens. So for us, we are really focused on coastal aquaculture right now. There could be a time that we move on to onshore. It's definitely a growing market, but we don't have a direct play there right now.
Got it. Question in the chat box: how would you compare in ocean aquaculture to aquaculture on land, in terms of prevention of disease, pollution, more control? Do you think there's opportunities for both of those models?
I think there definitely is. I think there's arguments to be made for the future of land-based, as well as ocean-based. I do think from our point of view, ocean-based is something that will continue to grow, and it's one that we definitely need to get right. When you're dealing with the oceans with various types of ecosystems, the ocean is a large resource, and we need to utilize it in the right and responsible way. I think some species may move on land when you can control more and more of the variables going into production. You obviously can have more stable productions, but it is still an ongoing challenge. I mean, at simply, energy costs are very high. Being able to heat water up, move it against gravity, it's not a simple thing. So costs are going to be a big concern, but I definitely see a fit for both of it. But there's definitely going to be a balance moving forward. Got it.
Another question from the audience. Are you present in any geographies beyond Norway? And are there any plans for moving into new markets, like salmon farming in Chile or Canada?
Yeah, we definitely have plans to. Right now, we are not. Right now, we are only in Norway, again, for the simple reason of the amount of data, and where this industry and innovation is happening. We do have plans to move first throughout salmon and then into other species.
I'm just curious from the perspective of your customers, what do they like most about the product? Like when somebody signs up as a customer, what's sort of the thing they use the most, or they're most jazzed about, it puts them over the edge?
Yeah, I mean, it starts from a user point of view. It's the first thing we do is save time. Instead of needing to pull data into an Excel spreadsheet or integrate it from different systems, it's all in one place. From the perspective they want to see it. The other aspect that we've seen a lot of enjoyment from is simply notifications and us pointing out issues. What farmers are aware of when they sign up to us is we are, kind of the background workhorses. We go and collect and continue to find insights and then share them whenever it's available. So those aspects of it, really, that time save component is a really important one.
Yeah, it's an important one. Another question here. I imagine that data analytics also involves feed and how it affects fish growth, etc. Can you share any variables that you're analyzing on the feed side that impact animal health and growth?
Yeah, when it comes to feed, I'll be honest, we are more on kind of disease treatments. That's where a lot of the issues are. Feed is a well-studied aspect. It's the highest cost when it comes to salmon farming, and there's a lot of optimization going on there. The perspective I have is, the optimizations are going to continue. You can automate more and more of it. One of the things that happen in salmon, they have cameras in every single pen, so you have people watching this feed constantly to make sure no waste comes out the bottom. When the industry first started, you can imagine a farmer walking by a cage and just dumping feed in. Now it's very optimized to when it's turned on, when it's turned off, how much waste is going in. There's also a lot of analytics going on from the components. We've used less and less wild caught fish to add to the feed. There's been more soy, but you can imagine kind of there's pluses and minuses to it. So from that side, we monitor feed and production, but what we think the issue is not necessarily there from an optimization standpoint, but that productions have a much larger range. Some productions are going well, some productions aren't. There's huge outbreaks, mortality issues, and largely those aren't feed issues. Those are other causes. So we're doing a little bit there, but it's a very well-studied issue when it comes to salmon farming.
Another question here. What's the next step function for the company in terms of system capabilities and growth? So I guess that might sort of tie into what's sort of your vision for the product and what enables you guys to reach that next step of growth?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's continuing to work with farmers and being on their side to make improvements. There's a lot more analytics that we want to get into as far as production goes. Tracing, there's always new health issues. Right now it's PD, lice, but there's other ones. There's outbreaks every single year, whether it's algae, CMS, heart issues, genetics issues. There's many other health issues, but from that side, that's one aspect that we're working on. The other aspect is looking at how to utilize these data and insights to bring new value to the farmers. One of the things that we've talked about is the lack of crop insurance, for example. Here in the States, we get farmers have weather insurance. If it rains or you get a drought, you get immediate payouts. That similarity does not exist in the world of aquaculture. And we think it's because of the lack of insights around the risks of these productions.
Regarding other species, how might your capabilities transfer currently? So if you want to move into shrimp, tilapia, sea bass farming, etc.
Yeah, I mean, so from, I guess one of the ways that I've looked at it is, again, looking back at kind of advanced analytics when in the world of sports. They're different in every category, but there are a lot of similarities. A lot of it has been chasing where does the productions, how do you find the truth in measuring a production? And when you're growing animals, it's still growing animals. You want it to grow quickly. You want them not to die. You want them to stay healthy. It's a lot of the same variables for us. When you look at those species, the ones that we see ourselves moving into sooner is the ones along the coast, whether it's shellfish, whether it's filter feeders, whether it's shrimp. Anything along the ocean is really the areas that we are most focused on and have the most expertise in. So understanding how weather factors and additional risks coming in from the activities that are going on around a farm are the focus that we're looking at.
Let's see. Where does your name come from?
It's a great question. So Manolin, and like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, our focus is to be kind of behind the scenes, really helping farmers understand the value of the data they are collecting. And our company is named after a character in Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. In that book, the old man obviously comes home without a fish, if he lost his opportunity. And the reason for it, in my opinion, as I read the book, was a character called Manolin. He had an apprentice who wasn't allowed to go out to go fishing with the old man Santiago. So this time around, Manolin's going to be there, and we're going to make sure we can help him get these fish home.
That's great. It's a fitting title. Well, I'm going to pause here to see if there's any final questions from the audience, just to give a chance for any last minute Q&A. But seeing that there appears to be none, Tony, I do have one last question. What's the most helpful thing the audience can do for you today? Where do you guys need the most assistance going forward?
Yeah,
and how can the audience find you?
They can find us at manolinaqua.com. Send an email or contact me directly at tony@manolinaqua.com. As far as what we need and the experience, we are really looking for mentors and help kind of across the space. We understand that a lot of what we're trying to do, has been done in agriculture. There's a lot of similarities within other fields. This is a new field. It is foreign in the fact that it's in Norway, but we draw a lot of comparisons from experiences that we've heard in the ag tech space. So if anybody's got kind of advice or, would like to chat, it would definitely help us.
Great. Well, Tony, really fantastic presentation. Again, a really exciting place to be working right now, and looking forward to hearing more about Manolin going forward. For everybody who was on the call today, thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate everybody who joins Agri-Food Conversations every week. For everybody who might be new to this call or sharing with somebody else, we host these calls every week on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Central Time. You can register for Agri-Food Conversations by going to agrifoodconversations.com. This webinar will be available for replay in the next 24 hours, and you can share it with anybody, and they can also register for themselves at agrifoodconversations.com. But otherwise, Tony, thank you so much. Thank you to our audience, and we look forward to seeing you next week.